everybody, and welcome to General Purposes Committee. I'll just go through the items at the top of the agenda. So first of all, we've got number 1, appeals against refusal of inspection of documents, please.
There are no appeals, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any exempt item, please?
No exempt information on the agenda today.
Thank you. Any late items, please?
No late items.
That's great, thanks. I'll turn to the committee. Are there any declarations of interest, please? I don't see anybody declaring. Do I have any apologies for absence, please?
We've received apologies for absence from Councillor Galton.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn to minutes of the last meeting from February this year. Is everybody happy with those? Great, thank you. So we'll move on to the first substantive paper, which is item 7, please. Nicole, you're going to introduce this.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. So this report updates committee as to the use of Article 15.2.3 of the Constitution, which is the delegation given to the monitoring officer to make changes to the Constitution. And this reports on those changes that are made since the last meeting. So since then, the monitoring officer has approved 4 amendments to the Constitution, and the details of these are set out in paragraphs 4 to 7 of your report. But in substance, they relate to changes to language referring to various documents and organisations which have now been superseded. There were changes to the members' allowance scheme to reflect findings of the Independent Remuneration Board and the approval by full council of those changes. There have been changes to the Code of Conduct's complaints procedure, and most recently changes to reflect full council decision not to reappoint a member management committee, recognising that the tasks of that former committee now fall to this general purposes committee. And the recommendations are that members are asked to note the use of the powers outlined. So unless there are any questions, that's the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions from the committee, or are we happy to move to the recommendations and agree them? Okay, I'm going to just check everybody's happy with the recommendations. That's great, thank you. And we'll move on to item 8, please, the one job of the member management committee that Nicole referred to.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is the annual report the Member Management Committee formally received, and the task now falls to General Purposes Committee to deal with. So this essentially is the elected member appointments to outside bodies report, and it sets out the outside body procedure rules that we abide to. It also includes a schedule of appointments designated previously as strategic and key appointments that would fall to GPC to make, and also includes a schedule of outside bodies that are designated as being community and local engagement that fall to the relevant community committees to make. Prior to getting to this point, prior to the meeting, I liaised with political group whips and shared the main appendix at appendix 2 with them to seek nominees to the various outside bodies that are included, and they are now included in the column marked nominees 23-24 for your consideration. The report also includes updates on changes to updates on changes throughout the year. So delegated decisions that have been taken where appointments have been made after member management committee made and before today. And at paragraph 10, there are some highlights to include, which include changes to places where the Liberal Democrat group have kindly ceded some places to the Morley-Borough Independents or to the SDP group. The recommendations are there at page 13, which essentially asks you to note the procedure rules as agreed at annual council, note the updates to various changes that have taken place through the year, including the in-year appointments, but mainly to consider the schedule at appendix 2, which is the main appointments of elected members to outside bodies that have been nominated by the groups, and also to confirm that those organisations listed in appendix 3 are to remain delegated to the community committees to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Are there any comments on these? Councillor Stevenson, please.
Thank you, Chair. In paragraph 11, where it references that the Leeds Safeguarding Children's Partnership no longer requires council to nominate, can you just give a bit of background to that?
Thank you, Councillor. So when I shared the schedule, prior to sharing this with group whips, I shared the schedule with directorates to ensure that it's up to date before I share it with group whips. The information I received from children and families was that an appointment to that partnership was no longer required.
So is that the partnership itself has reviewed its arrangements and decided that they don't want an elected member, or is it a change in legislation?
I generally can't answer that question, but I can find out for you and report back. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Are there any more questions on the report? I can't see anybody, so I'll turn to the recommendations which are here, which have been asked to agree, and obviously in the minutes, if you could note the request for information from Councillor Stevenson as well, please. So is everybody happy with the recommendations? Take it everybody is. That's great, thank you. And I shall close the meeting, as this is the last item, and I found the page that says that. So I've just got the date and the time of the next meeting in the papers, and I'll close the meeting. That's great. Thank you, everybody.